Hey, babe, I see that you're making your guacamole.
I am. Guacamole, my famous guacamole. What are you talking about?
That's right, I forgot to say famous guacamole. And you know how much I love your guacamole.
I've heard you say it before.
It's so amazing. And are you putting like some sea salt in there?
I'm putting everything I put in there all the time.
And some cilantro?
It's already in there.
That's fantastic. But you know what? I found a new recipe on the internet.
Blasphemy.
Oh, but I thought you might want to try it.
Something better than my guacamole?
Well, I know that yours is really good, but you know, sometimes some things, you know, you can just change it up a little bit.
You've got to be kidding me.
Just, you know.
I just go with the true and tried, you know?
You go with the true and tried?
That's right. This has been famous for years, man. It goes way back to the antediluvian days.
Oh, no kidding.
Came all the way down from my father, Noah.
Oh, my goodness, that's amazing. Today on Family Talk, we're talking about family dinner. What's happened to family dinner? Do families even cook or eat anymore?
I don't know. We'll find out once we have some guacamole. Welcome to Family Talk. I'm Willie Oliver.
And I'm Elaine Oliver.
This is a program about strengthening families and inspiring hope.
It's a place where we'll talk about real family life and share tools that will strengthen our marriages and families.
As I like to say, when we have stronger marriages, we're more likely to have stronger families, stronger churches, and stronger communities.
I like the part about stronger families and communities. In fact, in 2011, the Journal of American Medicine reported that 43% of families eat together daily. That's up from a 2003 Gallup poll, which found that only 28% ate together daily.
So what you're saying is that more recently, more of us have been eating together as families than a few years ago.
I think that's what the poll is saying, that more families are eating family dinner together.
That's fantastic. I think we are somehow paying attention to what's happening to our families. And I guess what has happened over the last 20 years, families disintegrating and being alienated from each other, with all the studies that are coming out, with all the television programs talking about it, people are more aware of it.
Yeah, well, who knew that family dinner would be just such a big thing? I mean, family dinner just seems like everybody has to eat, right?
Everybody has to eat.
So why is it such a big deal? But it seems like it is a pretty big deal.
It is a pretty big deal, and a lot of it has to do with when people and what people are doing, like television or playing or doing their own things. I want to remember when I was growing up as a kid in my family, it was never an issue. Missing dinner was not an issue. I don't remember missing dinner.
You never came late for dinner?
You know what? Maybe my mother or father would call, you know, and I'd take a couple of beats before I got there, but there was no prodding. I wanted dinner.
Well, you know what I remember? I think about our tradition of having family dinner with our own children.
That's correct.
Especially our Friday evening dinners.
Haystacks.
Haystacks.
And guacamole.
And guacamole, your famous guacamole.
Daddy's
of
favorite
course.
guacamole. Everyone wanted Daddy's favorite guacamole and Daddy's favorite beans.
That's right.
Beans.
That's right, your beans.
That's right.
But you know what I also remember? Remember we used to play that little game, Word of the Day?
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
And our kids would sort of like rush around
Yes.
and try to find a new word to say at the end of the day.
Yes, absolutely.
And so it's really amazing to me that today our kids use like really interesting words. And they sort of resented it just a little bit.
Yes, they
You know,
did.
they thought it was kind of like a burden
But today,
to have to do that.
Their friends are always wondering, where's that word coming from?
Yeah. So that was one of our traditions in our
Indeed.
families. And family traditions are so important, and family dinner certainly being one of them.
Yes.
Well, you know, as a part of our work with Adventist Family Ministries, one of the things we really enjoy is getting to meet families around the world.
And right now, we're going to show you a part of our trip to South Africa, just recently, where we had dinner with the Vielas. Let's watch. The Viela family from Ferry Glen, Pretoria in South Africa. We're delighted to be here. What's your name, Dad?
Temminkosi.
Temminkosi and Mom.
Lindiwe.
And then we have four sisters.
Yes, Babuzile.
Babuzile,
Baphiwe.
Tapiwe,
Banele,
Banele,
Batabise,
Batabise, and there's a husband of Banele.
another Tabise.
Tembinkosi.
What I really loved were the names, the meaning of your names. And I think for Tembinkose, your name means to believe in the Lord.
Indeed.
And yours is the awaited one. And your daughters have beautiful meanings as well. But I think, you know, as we've witnessed your family and how you just have so much togetherness, and I see that this is a home of faith. So I think your names are very significant and meaningful to what we witness here with you today.
And you also fed us, and it was a wonderful meal. So I'm going to like this house calls kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. We might have to make another house call. I want to know, what is it that you love about your parents?
Well, one thing they have in common is their humor. My parents are hilarious. Like, my dad's a clown of moods, and my mom she's very, very funny. So we like to laugh together, eat together. You know, and my parents pray like crazy. That's the one thing that I always tell people about my parents, that they really, really pray. And I think that their prayers have carried us through, you know, tough times, and have kept us together for the good times. And we just love each other's company.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much for making time for us and for opening your home for us to visit with you. It's been a delight, and we hope we get to see you again.
Thank you.
Great. God bless you. We'll be praying for your family, and you pray for us too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wasn't that great, that conversation with the Biela family in South Africa? I had fun,
It was great.
and the food was great.
They were an awesome family.
Well, we're coming right back in just a few seconds, where we'll be talking with a special guest on this issue of family dinners. Stick around.
Welcome back to Family Talk. Today on Family Talk, we're talking about dinner time. Do families still eat together, and does it really matter?
Well, we're delighted today to have a special guest, sociologist, professor, chair of the Behavioral Sciences Department at Andrews University, Dr. Duane McBride. Welcome, Duane.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to be here with you today.
It's good to have you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and just a little bit about your family, and we'll talk about the dinner as well.
All right. Well, as you say, I chair Behavioral Sciences Department at Andrews. I actually direct an Institute for Prevention of Addictions, and I do have 2 children, both baptized and active members in their churches, and 3 grandchildren.
Wonderful.
So families have always been important to me. In fact, the dissertation I wrote in 1976 focused on the role of families in preventing drug abusing behavior.
That's a wonderful topic.
It is
So
indeed.
you've been doing this for a long
I've been doing this for a
time.
number of decades.
Right. So you've been doing some pretty exciting research on family dinner. What is this whole thing about family dinner? It seems like such a basic thing.
Well, you know, as you noted earlier in the segment, a few years ago, less than a quarter of families were eating together on any regular basis. But we've seen that double in the last couple of years.
Wonderful.
And some great research has come out of Columbia University and other universities that show that eating family dinners together can be very important.
How so?
Well, we've gotten data from the Centers for Disease Control at Andrews in my research institute that really shows that a couple of great things happen with family dinners.
Okay.
The more family dinners you eat together, the less risk behavior you engage in. That means less drug use.
Really?
Yeah.
So the more people eat together,
The less risk behavior, less drug use, alcohol and tobacco, less sexual promiscuity, and less delinquency.
That's amazing.
In fact, for almost every time you eat dinner together, the rates go down. And so it's a linear relationship.
okay.
That's unbelievable. So what is it about family dinner, though? And what kind of family dinner is this? Is it at a certain time of the day? Is it a grand dinner? Is everyone involved? Is mom cooking? Is that what's happening?
Is there any guacamole? You know?
Well, yeah, there has to be guacamole. Now, the family that they're talking about is the evening meal, because kids, everyone rushes through breakfast.
Right.
Lunch is often done at school, at work for the parents. So it really is the evening meal.
Okay.
And we're talking about no texting going on, no television going on. So what's
Okay.
going on? Well, ethnographic research suggests that that's where monitoring comes on. When the family is monitoring what's going on with the kids' lives. What happened
They're
today?
having conversation.
Having a conversation.
Yes.
What did you do today? What happened today? So monitoring of what's going on.
Okay.
You also have that great communication.
Yeah.
You know, the parents are able to role model what the values are in their family. This is what our values are. This is what's important to us.
Because they're talking about
Because
them.
they're talking about
The
what's
questions
going
you're
on.
asking are
Exactly.
specifically connected to their
Connected
values.
to the values.
Okay.
And they're also engaging in emotional bonding.
Okay.
In other words, they're showing love
Yeah.
by often making what's the favorite meal. Children often pick menus.
Pass the
Guacamole.
spaghetti?
Pass the spaghetti. So it's emotional bonding, it's monitoring, and it's transmission of values.
Okay.
The type of communication, though, is crucial that's going on.
Yes,
All
tell us.
communication isn't positive.
Right.
If there's negative communication and there's family dinners, risk behavior goes up.
Okay, so I want to ask you a little bit about that, because some kids may perceive that if their parents ask them a question, especially as we're talking about adolescence, when you're kids, oh, you just want to talk about everything.
Yes.
But as they become teenagers and you ask them questions, they feel that you're being invasive
Right.
or intrusive.
You're
You know,
prying
you're
into their
prying into
lives.
their
Prying,
lives.
yes.
So how do families strike that balance between positive and negative?
Well, you don't start communication at 14.
Okay.
It really begins with young childs, and that it emerges and it has to change as time goes on. And it does need to have those positive elements. In fact, if the child feels insulted and hurt and demeaned in the conversation, their risk behavior goes up, not down.
So what I'm hearing you say is that we need to have more than just having dinner.
More than having
That
dinner,
the parents
it's
need to be intentional about being
intentional.
positive.
Positive, supportive,
Yeah.
there for the children.
No yelling.
Love, no yelling. Oh, no,
No
no.
Screaming.
Yelling, no screaming.
No name
risk
calling.
No. You do that and drug, sex go up.
Yeah.
I
No.
noticed you keep saying that and you're stressing that. And so I really want to stress that so that our viewers can understand
Important.
that.
Yeah.
So we're going to have family dinner, but we're going to berate our children for the entire meal.
No,
So you're
that means you're going to make them worse. Drugs, alcohol, sex. You don't want to berate. You want to support, communicate, respect, bond, share values. Share your boundaries, share your standards.
Okay.
But don't demean, don't yell, and don't demean anyone else in the family.
Okay.
Husbands and wives don't demean each other.
right, because we're modeling.
You're modeling
healthy
relationships. Exactly.
Right.
You know, the best gift a husband can give his children is to love their mother.
That's right.
Yes, we often
And it's
say
not
that.
because he says so, it's because of
It's
what
because
he does.
he does it.
Yeah.
How he connects, how he communicates. It's
Okay.
crucial.
That's wonderful. So this is really deep stuff.
Well, I think it's important stuff because it isn't heavy, it isn't expensive. It's just sitting down together, communicating, interacting, sharing about what you do, what you did, how we can relate, how we can help, how we can strengthen our family. Anyone can do that. It doesn't cost you.
So what do you say to those families that have dysfunction, a negative pattern of communicating? How do we improve that so that family dinners can really be meaningful?
Well, I think you have to recognize if there's family dysfunction, and there really might be counseling that's needed in how a family can be, more functional in its interaction. Parents have to be self-critical and aware of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
If family dinners end in yelling and in storming out of the room, that's not good.
That's not what we want.
Not what we want. And
That's why kids don't come.
That's why kids don't come.
Yeah.
But that's why you need, sometimes you need counseling and help in how to have a functioning family and how to use dinners in a very positive way. So, Socrates says we have to know ourselves.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
we have to know what's going on and self-criticize how we're doing things and how we can change.
Okay.
So there's some great, I think, self-help books, and there's some great Christian counselors that can help you do that.
Yeah, wonderful. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that when we come back, but we have to take a break. And when we come back on Family Talk, we'll continue this excellent conversation on family dinner. Stay with us.
Welcome back. We've been talking with Dr. Dwayne McBride from Andrews University about the importance of having family dinners. So,
Well, there's a few other things I want to kind of talk about.
Yeah, please.
Well, my research group and my colleagues, Dr. Gary Hopkins, Ram Niskelbijan, Alina Baltazar, Lionel Matthews, we're actually going to be presenting some of our research at the American Sociological Association in Denver and the American Society of Criminology in Chicago. So you're going to hear our data for the first time.
Fantastic.
Well, we're looking not just at
Wait,
how,
and I just have to interject. Sorry for interrupting you, but Alina Baltazar is your daughter.
Is my daughter, yes.
And we know her.
And we
you
know her,
her.
and we're excited about that. And it must be wonderful to have your daughter join you in this research.
It's really great to be able to work with her. And, you know, I've talked about how family dinners relate to less alcohol, drug use, sex, and delinquency. We're also finding it relates to lower rates of vulnerability.
Okay,
Family,
how so?
Well, family dinners mean you'll be less likely to be a victim of date rape. You'll be less likely to be a victim of bullying.
Is it because you're at dinner instead of
Well, that could
someplace
be.
with someone where you're not supposed
But
to be?
I think it improves your self-concept.
Okay.
In other words, it makes you less vulnerable to the intimidation by others because your family has given you support. Your family has given you a sense of self-worth that make you avoid situations when you're vulnerable. So you're less likely to be bullied.
Okay.
You're less likely to be slapped by a girlfriend or boyfriend. And you're more likely to wear a seatbelt and a bicycle helmet.
Okay.
That is
That-
really,
I know, that really
it's so
surprised us.
amazing that something as inexpensive.
Right, as a family
It's
dinner.
not that difficult
No.
to do. I mean, you don't even have to be a great chef.
No.
It reduces
You don't even have
all
to
the-
make guacamole like
That's
I do.
No, that-
right.
I think that's an added benefit.
It reduces at-risk behaviors.
Right.
And it increases your self-esteem
Yes.
and your self-worth, and
Yes.
it protects you against being vulnerable.
But being vulnerable. You know, some people give off a sense of weakness and vulnerability.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's related to victimization.
Yes.
And so one of the things that we're making, we think, unique is looking at some data organized by the Centers for Disease Control, collected by them, and actually organized by state by Dr. Hopkins, my colleague.
Very nice.
And we are finding that no one's looked at less victimization, less vulnerability.
That's amazing.
So we keep our kids from risk behavior by family dinners, and we make them less vulnerable to being victimization of other bullies.
That's wonderful correlation.
It's a wonderful
Family
correlation.
dinner, less victimization,
And less risky
better
behavior.
self-esteem.
Right, better self-esteem.
Yes, less risky behavior. But we're back to if the dinners are not as good.
It
as
does
they
not
need to.
work out.
They don't work out.
No, if you yell at the kids and demean the kids, they're more likely to be bullied and vulnerable.
So one of the things that we like to say to our families who are watching this program is that, yes, more family dinner is important, but more functional
family
relationships.
dinners.
Right. And work on building those family relationships so that they're stronger
Support.
and
Positive communication, supportive communication, clearly communicate your values.
Okay.
Children, as you know, children do best when there's clear boundaries that are communicated.
Yes.
But always do it in a supportive and appreciative way. And that's what strengthens the self-esteem, protects our children from being vulnerable, and protects them from engaging in bad behavior.
Yeah.
Remembering that young children behave like young children,
Yes.
and you can't expect a 5-year-old
No.
to behave like a 15-year-old.
No, you have to
Yes.
make it age appropriate.
Yes, and so it's about growing. It's
About
linear,
growing.
as you said
Yes,
earlier on.
it is
you know.
linear.
It's
And
developmental.
It's developmental and knowing the developmental stage. But, you know, engaging the children in what to have for dinner.
Okay.
Engaging, you know, we have a tradition in our family. In fact, I had an email waiting to come on in which my daughter informed me that since her birthday's coming up, it was my responsibility to make her favorite dinner. So I'm making her. I want to make her favorite
Do
dinner.
you go over to
Saturday
her
night.
house, or do you cook it at your house?
I'll cook it at my house, and she'll come down for her favorite dinner. Each member of my family has her favorite dinner, and it's always cooked by my wife or I for that child's dinner.
That's wonderful, and so it's passed on
It's
into
passed on.
adulthood.
Right.
Because
Yes. Right.
Which is amazing, and she's still expecting
She's still, yeah,
these
her
dinners.
email said, "You are cooking my favorite dinner, aren't you?" Okay, yes, I will.
That is so sweet. But I do want to ask, though. All right, so families are busy today.
Yes.
Kids are involved in sports
Yes.
and music
Yes.
and
Yes.
you know all kinds of after-school
Yes.
activities. Parents are working long hours.
Yes.
What do you say to parents who are saying, "I just can't pull my family together
Well,
at the end of the day"?
Once we see you get to 4 family dinners a week, that's where we see a statistical break.
Okay.
You know, if it's 4 or more dinners, that's when we see that break towards protection and less risk behavior. So, you know, we shouldn't feel overwhelmingly guilty if we can't do this 7.
7 days a week. Okay.
You know, but if we
But at
can
least
get
4
to the
times.
majority
Yes,
of
of the week.
days,
Yes.
that's what begins to make a difference with our children.
So then you're saying that families can plan.
You can
right?
plan for those 4 or more days.
And they've got to
Exactly.
be intentional then.
Got to be intentional.
You know, so maybe the kid doesn't need an extra sport. You
Right.
know, Johnny has
Right.
has one sport, maybe
Right.
one is enough.
Right.
You know, and one
They don't
one
need to do soccer,
instrument.
basketball, football, and baseball all the same week.
That's correct.
Right.
Right. I think
So we
that's
need to
very
be intentional about what's important for us.
Right.
So if you're thinking working more, that's going to affect your children
Right.
adversely.
Right.
So then when you want to make an adjustment on behalf of your family.
Right. Exactly. Intentional planning of those family dinners. Make it 4 more a week and you make a difference.
Okay.
Make sure the communication is positive. Get the counseling help you may need to make it positive.
Okay.
And you will make a difference in your children's lives, and then they'll make a difference in their children's lives. You know, the Bible talks about 3 or 4 generations.
Yes, yes.
What you do in your family will affect 3 or 4 generations in
Yes.
your children.
Yes.
So every time we make a good choice, we make that
affects-
choice for our grandchildren
we
and
do.
even our great-grandchildren.
We do. That's
It's
exactly what Scripture
an
says.
existential choice, if you will.
Yes. Yeah, it's an existential, intentional choice
Yes.
that we have the free will to make. We schedule our lives. And it was great to see that data that says almost half of our families in this country are eating
know.
regularly with their children.
And that's
And that's a
wonderful.
wonderful change.
That we're up from where we were just a few years ago.
doubling the rates a
Yes,
few years
that's-
ago.
it's a wonderful
So there's hope for the future.
There
And I
is
think
hope.
the Adventist church, the Christian community should be leading the way in in role modeling this behavior for our communities.
And that's what I always say: when we have stronger marriages, we have stronger families,
And stronger
churches,
communities.
and stronger communities,
Absolutely.
and that's what we want.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, well, this has been so amazing, and we're just going to have you back.
Yes.
I'm
And
always
And
happy to come back.
Perhaps next time you can bring your daughter, and
Okay.
maybe the grandkids even.
All right. Yeah.
And
Well,
maybe that-
they're a little. You know,
And
they're a
maybe
little
that
the age.
favorite meal.
All right. Yeah.
We'll
you make
try it out.
guacamole.
You
I'll
can
cook
have,
the
right,
meal.
you can have a
All right.
competition, a
Right.
guacamole competition.
We can have a taste test.
But it's been wonderful having
thank
you,
you.
Dwayne. And when we come back, we'll give you today's takeaway from Family Talk.
Welcome back. We've been talking with Dr. Dwayne McBride from Andrews University about the importance of family dinner. And what a wonderful conversation it has been, Dwayne.
Thank you.
Yes. What else can you tell us as we're getting ready to wrap up here?
Well, I think, you know, there's some simple things. You know, first of all, families need to recognize they can do this.
Yes.
They can schedule it.
It's doable.
They don't have to check off 7.
Yes.
Once you get to 4, we see the statistical break.
Yes.
And I think they have to recognize the positive family dinner is crucial to making it important and protective.
So the parents have some responsibility.
Parents have a major responsibility, and
Yes.
include the children in planning the dinner.
Yes.
Find out what they like, and sometimes, you know, rotating the dinners to please a different member of the family
Yes.
makes them feel engaged.
And, you know, variety is the spice of life.
Variety is a spice.
And I like the fact about including the family. One of the things we used to do in our family is we would have, you know, someone chop the tomatoes,
Yes.
someone wash the lettuce, and even a
Yes.
small child can wash fruit.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, so they don't
Or set
have
the
to-
table.
Or set the table or something like that. So there's involvement in the whole family.
And those, you know, family rituals and traditions that you talked about earlier in the segment were also very crucial. And the family dinner can be part of one of those very positive traditions.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We have to eat.
We have to eat.
And we want to eat well.
We want to eat
Yeah.
well. We might as well make it a place where we transmit values, we have emotional bonding, and we strengthen the self-image of our children and protect them from risk behaviors.
So you want to make it count.
Make it count.
Absolutely.
Right. And seek counseling. If
If you're having a problem
some
with
problems.
dysfunctional, be
Yes.
self-aware if you're having problems and the family dinner ends in conflict and storming off, and seek counseling so you make it a positive experience.
So if we're having family dinner that's not going so well, it's not the end.
It's
all
not
is
the
not
end.
lost.
All is
we
not
can
lost.
recoup.
We can recoup.
We can take action.
Yep.
And make it better
Yep, we can make it better.
by being intentional.
Be being intentional of what we do and how we do it, seeking help if we need it.
Well, there are a few takeaways from our conversation with Dr. McBride today, and let's go over them and see if we remember that when you have family dinners together, at least 4 a week, I mean, don't make it so that you have to have 7 together, but at least 4 a week, you start seeing some of those protective factors. Less
More positive.
bad behavior.
Oh, yes. Less risky behavior.
Less risky behavior, less rape, even seatbelts and bicycle helmets.
Yes.
All of that people do. And if you're not doing so well in your communication with your family, take action. Find a counselor, go through it, and make sure that your communication gets better because you want it to be positive.
Yeah, and people can avail themselves of many of the family life seminars
Yes.
Absolutely.
being held at their churches.
Absolutely.
And certainly after this, we certainly will be encouraging churches to have these seminars about family dinner. So we just want to say that from this day forward, we hope that families will be intentional about having family dinner, knowing that this is a great way to save their families from risky behaviors and just increase the family bonding in your family.
That's all for today's Family Talk. Join us again when we'll talk more about strengthening families and inspiring hope.